Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the hit talk show, Talking History. Today we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to take you back all the way to 480 BC, where the massive forces of the Persian Empire and the heroic Greeks battled in Thermopylae. But today, we're not just going to talk to you about it, we're going to bring back some of the key historical figures. How are we going to do that, you ask? We called friend of the show, Mr. Barry, and used his time machine to bring back some of the key figures. So let's get to it.
Good morning. I'm going to give you a summary on the Battle of Thermopylae. In 480, 10 years after the defeat at Marathon, like we saw in Dr. Hunto's presentation, the Persians were back, this time with even more men. They met a combined force of Greeks at Thermopylae, a small mountain pass that controlled access to most of Greece. A group of 7,000 soldiers held off the Persians for a whole 2 days. But a Greek trader showed the Persians a secret passageway that allowed them to surround the Greek army. Seeing this, most of the defenders retreated. A group of 300 Spartans stayed on the battlefield, fighting to the death and covering their fellow Greeks' retreat. This heroic act allowed the rest of the Greek army, which was made up of soldiers from all over Greece, to escape the capture or certain death. Although these many city-states of Greece vied with one another for control of land and resources, they also banded together to defend themselves from foreign invasion. Twice at the beginning of the 5th century BC, Persia attempted such an invasion. In 490 BC, the Persian king Darius instigated the initial such attempt as part of the First Persian War, but a combined Greek force churned back the Persian army at the Battle of Marathon. 10 years later, during the Second Persian War, one of Darius' sons, Xerxes, again launched an invasion against Greece. Under Xerxes I, the Persian army moved south through Greece on the eastern coast, accompanied by the Persian navy, moving parallel to the shore. To reach its destination at Attica, the region controlled by the city-state of Athens, the Persians needed to go through the coastal path of Thermopylae, or so the hot gates, so known because of the soldiers. In the late summer of 480 BC, Leonidas led an army of 6,000 to 7,000 Greeks from many city-states, including 300 Spartans, in an attempt to prevent the Persians from passing through Thermopylae. Leonidas established his army at Thermopylae, expecting that the narrow pass would funnel the Persian army toward his own force. For 2 days, the Greeks withstood the determined attacks of their far more numerous enemy. Leonidas' plan worked well at first, but he did not know that there was a route over the mountains to the west of Thermopylae that would allow the enemy to bypass his fortified position along the coast. This set the stage to be an epic battle.
Welcome back. Leonidas is on the show with us today. Thank you for coming. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So there's been a few reports about the battle that you only sent 300 troops. Why is that?
Well, around the time of the battle, there was an important religious festival called the Festival of Carneia. And since we're such a devout and religious people, we thought that it was more important for the festival to take place than for the battle, so we weren't going to send the full force of our army until after the festival. But as it happened, the battle ended before the festival ended, so we weren't able to send the full force of our army. Therefore, I had to fight with only 4,000 troops, and 300 of them, only 300 were Spartans.
Yes.
Along our way, though, another 4,000 men from neighboring cities joined us too, which brought the total to 8,000.
Just a quick question. Why did you not cover the pass that led behind your troops at Thermopylae?
Actually, as soon as I discovered that there was a pass around Thermopylae that could lead to a sneak attack from behind, I put 1,000 troops to guard it. I thought 1,000 would be enough because I did not think that we were going to be betrayed, and I didn't think that this passage was anything to worry about.
Well, you chose Thermopylae for a specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
Well, because Thermopylae is a very narrow pass in Greece, and so it was very easy using our phalanx formation to defend it. I constructed a wall at one of the narrowest points in Thermopylae, and assembled my hoplites in front of the wall in a phalanx formation. Hoplites were the main type of soldier in Greece, with long spears and large round shields. Phalanxes were lines of hoplites that could be up to 8 men deep, and although they were very vulnerable from the sides and from behind, because of the narrow pass, they could only be attacked from the front by the Persians. Therefore, it was a very strategic point.
Well, Leonidas, how well did these tactics work?
They worked extremely well until the third day, until someone betrayed us. On the first day, when Xerxes finally decided to attack us, I sent my Spartans to the front to fortify the hoplite formation that we were doing. The casualties for the Persians, as I sent wave after wave against my phalanx formation, grew so high that he eventually withdrew. The first soldiers that Xerxes threw at us was the Medes, which is another race in Persia. And after he sent the Medes and we withstood them very well, he sent Scythians and Scythian tribesmen to fight us. And wave after wave, we also faced them very well and withstood their attacks. Then Xerxes decided to send his immortals, which are the elite soldiers in Persia, who, when one of them dies, another one replaces him immediately. So it seems like the 10,000 never dwindles,
Yes,
and
of
it's
course.
very terrifying to fight against. On the second day, at first light, Xerxes sent more waves of men, and our losses were mounting so much that we weren't going to be able to stand it for much longer. But the second day ended with the battle at a stalemate. Then, during the night, is when the key to Xerxes' victory was placed in his hands. Ephialtes, a Greek shepherd that was located nearby,
Yes.
he approached Xerxes and told him of a passage around Thermopylae that allowed him and his army to sneak up behind us. So, with Ephialtes leading them, the immortals set off through the passageway, and they ended up sneaking up behind us and coming up behind us in the Thermopylae, and we were completely surrounded. Most of our forces deserted, except for the Thebans and the Thespians, who stayed with me and my men to hold off against the Persians from both sides.
Yes.
So, just completely surrounded, backed into a corner, with avalanches of Persians around us. We fought to the death and were completely massacred. Even me.
What are your
even though I'm from right here. But
What are your afterthoughts on the battle? You know, coming around the second time, having this time to look back at what happened.
I thought it was great. It was great because it was an epic defeat, and it brought honor to the Greek and city-states, and it united them. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know that death is a big thing for you Spartans. You
Yeah.
either die a glorious death or beat anyone who's coming at you.
Yeah, with a surge of pride and unity, we were massacred, but we lived what it was to be a Spartan, just to die in war. And so, under the great force and pressure of the Persians, when we were all surrounded and betrayed, we did not surrender, we did not give up, but we died fighting. This is the greatest honor for a Spartan, and I'm glad to have completed my duty as a citizen of the Spartan Empire. At Thermopylae, actually, because of our great sacrifice, they built an epitaph in our honor.
Really?
And it reads, "Tell them in Lacedaemon that here, obedient to their word, we lied."
So, we have Xerxes on the show now. Thank you for coming. So as you attacked these Spartans and the Greeks, why was this? What were your motives behind this?
Well, when the Ionian Greeks revolted against us, my father Darius swore he would burn down Athens because the Greeks helped the Ionians. As we all unfortunately know, his first attack at Marathon was an embarrassing defeat. He came home desiring revenge and prepared for 3 years to attack them again. However, his plans were halted for a bit when he decided he had to go to Egypt and put down a rebellion that was there. The rebellion took a lot of his effort, and when he was done, he died before he got to attack. So I, his successor, the God King, we have, as Persians, have vowed to fulfill his promise to burn Athens, enslave the Greeks, and take over their territory.
So what were your plans at Thermopylae? What were your strategies?
Well, we plan to use 10,000 fierce immortals and 150,000 or more, because it's kind of rumored that we had more than that, foot soldiers. If our skill doesn't beat the pathetic Greek resistance, our numbers certainly will. We will have an easy victory, and we will burn Athens with no problem.
So throughout the first few days, how did you think that your soldiers were doing?
Well, for the first 2 days, we pushed many of our men through the narrow pass at Thermopylae to their death, but we are inflicting damages on the numbers of Greek warriors slowly. Eventually, we must win by numbers. We now have an advantage over the Greeks, however, because one of their citizens, a shepherd named Ephialtes, has betrayed them. We originally thought there was only one way through the area into Greece, through the heavily guarded pass at Thermopylae, but the shepherd has made us aware of a goat path that goes through the hills so we can get around behind.
So we've received word that the Greeks have become aware of your plan. So when that happened, what did you think? Did you think the Greeks were going to send more soldiers back there to defend it?
Well, I knew that the Greeks who were defending the pass, the 1,000 ones who were put up there, they fled as soon as they saw us coming, so we had an easy path around the Greeks. After this, either way, if the Greeks stayed, they would be surrounded and killed, but if they left, we would fight them in the open and we would crush them. So either way, we'd beat them.
You seem very confident.
I am.
Since you were the victor of this battle, after the third day, what do you have to say to the fans that are watching right now?
Well, I'd like to thank Ephialtes, the betrayer of the Greeks, for making our victory a little easier. Although I believe we would have eventually won anyway, just with our sheer numbers.
So why do you think that Leonidas, the Spartan king that you were fighting against, and the other Greeks defended this specific pass?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I know they have some weird concept of Spartan and Greek honor, defending their thing, but honestly, if it were me, I would have told my troops to get out and live to fight another day. Their many deaths have just helped us. It hasn't really done anything, and no one's going to remember what they did.
Do you have any news on how the Persian Navy fared after at the sea?
I heard they were held up for a little bit by the Greek fleet, but when they received news that that we crushed the Greeks in the Battle of Thermopylae, the Greeks retreated to Salamis and gave our ships entry into the Aegean Sea easily.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you. We're now joined by our special guest, Ephialtes, the traitor. Welcome to the show.
Not too great to be here.
Well, just some quick questions we have for you, as you were one of the key characters in this battle. What led you to betray the Greeks, your fellow men?
Well, living in Greece as a Spartan wasn't exactly great if you weren't in the army. I found that being a shepherd, I didn't have much power, and I didn't get paid at all, and so I was living off of what I could do. To be honest, I was hoping that the Persians would give me some money, and if I left Greece, maybe I could find that.
Well, how did you come to know of the Goat Pass?
Well, oftentimes, while I was leading sheep or looking for new ones for my herd, I would come across this goat pass over the mountain. I found it was very bountiful in land and resources, and so I thought it was a good place to breed my sheep.
What did you get in return for betraying the Greeks, mainly from the Persian Empire?
Well, at first I went in and asked for power, but Xerxes denied my request, and so I further went on to ask for money and respect, which he agreed upon the terms. I hope to get more eventually, but for now I'm settled with this.
Do you have any regrets about your betrayal of Greece?
To be honest, I have zero regrets. I found that Sparta and Greece treated me very poorly, and as a shepherd I had to look out for myself, and so once I came to the Persians, they treated me with respect and gave me money and everything that I was hoping for, and so I have zero regrets about betraying Greece, and I'd do it again.
So here's the golden question that all our viewers at home want to know. If you could do it all again, what would you do?
The exact same thing. I found that I came out on top, and so did the Persians. And Greece, who betrayed me and didn't give me any respect, they came out on the bottom, and that's what I was looking for. So in the end, I think I made the right decision in my call.
Thank you for coming on the show. That's all we have for today. Till next week, we'll see you later.
To summarize what we learned, after the battle, Leonidas' sacrifice, along with that of the Spartan hoplites, did not prevent the Persians from moving down the Greek coast into Boeotia. In September 480 BC, however, the Athenian navy defeated the Persians at the Battle of Salamis, after which the Persians returned home. Nonetheless, Leonidas' action demanded Sparta's willingness to sacrifice itself for the protection of the Greek region. Leonidas achieved itself lasting fame for its personal sacrifice. Hero cults were an established custom in ancient Greece from the 8th century BC onward. Dead heroes were worshipped, usually near their burial site as intermediaries to the gods. 40 years after the battle, Sparta retrieved Leonidas' remains on what he believed to be the remains, and a shrine was built in his honor. And on next time,
Talking History!